Welcome to the last week of the Programming for Engineer class. In this final stretch, we'll talk about plotting data in Python, and we'll go through the completion of one example, basically plotting the COVID numbers that we were able last week to scrape from a web page available on the internet. Now, when we talk about plotting, Python provides a number of really good options, and there are not too many to kind of list entirely. I would say the four main libraries currently are Matplotlib, Seaborn, Plotly, and Bokeh. With a caveat that probably Matplotlib is by far the most popular and the one kind of more feature-rich in terms of basic plotting for, say, scientific publications. The other libraries are kind of more modern and try to add some higher level of abstraction. And most important, start to add more features that could be useful for building dashboards on the web, interactivities and things like that. So again, for just a basic, in basic, I mean, not in terms of not necessarily being published on the web, but very high quality presentation of data from the scientific point of view. Probably Matplotlib is the one that is most complete. There is a huge number of examples and is relatively easy to use. Among the others, I've actually shown Bokeh because it's the one that has the best, in my opinion, by the way, the best free support. Some of the other have more complexity when you have to build the web-based dashboards. For advanced use, for example, Plotlib would need a fairly expensive support from the company that creates the library. But for each use, probably people have to decide their own trade-off between the importance of the plot they have to do, where they have to be delivered, and whether they can have kind of financial support and so on, so that maybe they don't have to do everything on their own. So maybe the cost might not be necessarily an issue. So anyway, but for the reminder, I'll focus on Bokeh. Effectively, what I will say there apply with minor syntactic variation for all the libraries. So what I like about Bokeh is that in addition to the basic plots that one can do, it's relatively easy to add elements that build the dashboards like this. You can have multiple buttons, selection areas, sliders and things like that. And those are all easy built in plain Python, in Jupyter notebooks. And once created, they can be published on the web. And in examples that I'll show easily, for example, for every plot you make, you get an HTML file that you can just cut and paste, for example, and put inside of a web page. Normally, that's a kind of very painful process. And so that for anything that you have to do web-based, this is a good choice. So in particular, we'll focus on this type of plots. And then I'll show as a final thing, this is kind of not required in terms of taking the final and so on, but I'll show how to create an interactive mini dashboard like this, where you can select, for example, different regions, flip within one type of plot to the other, and so on. And basically easily get a type of interactivity. And this is something that you can publish directly on a web page.